The F1 paddock has ignited in Austin after Red Bull admitted to having a device which would allow them to make changes to their car under parc ferme conditions. The story exploded when the FIA released a statement saying that complaints from a number of teams had led to them having discussions with a then unnamed team about a device which would allow them to change their front bib height after qualifying, something which the rules very clearly state cannot be done. While the FIA statement didn't name the team, in the hours that followed, Red Bull got ahead of the witch hunt by admitting it was them, but denied using the device to break parc ferme rules. Now that they've revealed themselves, F1's drivers have shared their thoughts and many are calling foul of Red Bull's actions. So let's check it out. In case you missed this story breaking yesterday, let me give you a quick rundown. Autosport released a report stating that a source had told them that a number of teams had spoken to the FIA regarding a device fitted to one team's car which would allow them to change the front bib height under parc ferme conditions. While cars are in parc ferme, the only aerodynamic changes that teams are allowed to make is to the front wing. An F1 car's bib, or T-tray as it's also known, sits at the front of the car's floor. Being able to change the height of that part after qualifying would provide a significant performance advantage. During qualifying, an F1 car has as little fuel in it as possible, so it's at its absolute lightest, meaning it sits higher on its suspension and the range of travel in the suspension is less, because less weight means less force applied. During the race, the car becomes heavier, which means the car sits lower. This means that teams have to set up their cars slightly higher than is optimum during qualifying to avoid the car being disqualified for excessive plank wear after the race. But to get the maximum possible performance, teams want the car's floor to be as close to the track surface as possible. The device that was fitted to the then unnamed team's car would have allowed them to have a low bib for qualifying to increase performance and then raise it during the race to avoid the excess plank wear. The FIA gave a statement saying, "Yes, one team has this device fitted, but there is no evidence that they've used it to break parc ferme." The device was placed in the cockpit and would allow a mechanic to easily change the bib height without the use of tools. Importantly, the rules regarding parc ferme say, it must be clear from physical inspection that changes to aerodynamic parts cannot be made without the use of tools. So whichever team had the device was already in breach of the rules just by having it fitted. The FIA said that there was no way they could prove it had been used to breach parc ferme, but admitted that the device definitely could have been used to do just that. Well, speculation over who had the device ran wild for a few hours until Red Bull decided to admit that it was actually them. A Red Bull spokesperson said, "Yes, the device exists, although it is inaccessible once the car is fully assembled and ready to run. In the numerous correspondences we've had with the FIA, this part came up and we have agreed a plan going forward." Following those discussions with the FIA, Red Bull agreed to change their car to remove the device. Considering Red Bull's current position as title challengers for both championships, the news that they were the team with the device caused a huge stir. Questions over whether they were using it to break parc ferme, how much of an advantage it could give them if they were, and how long they could have been using it were asked. The answers were not obviously forthcoming, but Red Bull's rivals did give their opinions on what had been going on. Just before I jump into that though, if you want to catch more daily F1 news, then make sure to give this video a like and subscribe to F1 Reverse. Thanks a lot. So the impact of this device potentially being used is obviously greatest for Max Verstappen, who's currently in a battle to hold on to his lead in the Drivers' Championship. Following the reveal, Lando Norris believes he's been dealt a possible boost in his bid to beat Max Verstappen to World Championship glory after Red Bull were ordered to make changes to their car. Speaking ahead of this weekend's US Grand Prix, McLaren's Lando Norris was asked if the FIA's move to intervene will hand the title advantage his way. If it has been helping them, and they have been utilising it in a way that people think they have, then maybe it'll shift in our direction, he replied. But they wouldn't have got several poles and wins because of such a device. I don't think it will really change anything, but then when you look at the gaps in qualifying, and when the gap has been just a hundredth of a second, then you might say this has helped. It's good that the FIA are doing such a thing. There is a difference between black and white like this, and a difference between Formula 1 and pushing the boundaries and innovating. That's what we've done a very good job on, but been sure not to go any further than that. Norris was very careful to not say that Red Bull had been using the device to break the rules, as there is no proof that they were, but as he says, if it had been being used, then it would have offered an advantage considering how close the front teams are in performance at the moment. And if it had been used, he's clear that it would have been a clear breach of the rules. It was a very measured and media-trained response from the title hopeful, and his teammate Oscar Piastri had a very similar opinion. Speaking ahead of what is an ultra-close fight between McLaren and Red Bull for the F1 titles, Piastri emphasized his belief that if Red Bull had been using this exploit, he would not consider it a case of a squad exploring grey areas in the rules. "We're obviously pushing the boundaries of the technical regulations," he said. "Everyone is, and that's what makes F1 F1. But from what I've heard and been told, something like this is not pushing the boundaries. It's clearly breaking them. If it is something that's being used, it's clearly not pushing the boundaries. It's been out of the grey area and into a black area." Piastri said that questions would have to be asked about its rival if there was a noticeable swing in its performance compared to recent races, just as McLaren was put under the spotlight recently over its Mini DRS rear wing. "If there's a big difference in performance, then clearly there'll be some questions," he said. "If it's not, well, you don't know. Our Mini DRS was legal. Even though we've had to make some changes, it's not revolutionary for the car. We'll see if it makes an impact." All eyes will be on Red Bull in qualifying to see how they perform and if there is a noticeable drop in their performance relative to their rivals. McLaren in particular will pay very close attention because if there is a change, Zak Brown won't waste a second in demanding the FIA punish Red Bull. The issue is, even if they had been using it, no one's sure how large an advantage it would have provided them. There's no doubt it would be an advantage, but whether it was tenths of a second, hundredths or thousandths is a complete mystery. And trying to spot any difference in performance will be made more difficult because Red Bull are bringing a large upgrade package to Austin, which includes a brand new floor. Surprisingly, Lewis Hamilton has defended Red Bull. Despite his notoriously spiky relationship with Christian Horner and Max Verstappen, which peaked during the pair's ill-tempered 2021 title battle, the seven-time world champion has argued the team had shown initiative with their bib hype mechanism. "I think the name of our sport is all about innovation. Red Bull have been the leaders and they've innovated. Ultimately, all the teams look at the rules and try to find how to massage those rules and get the most out of it, even if it's just over the edge a little bit. You just need to continue to evolve and be better policed." However, the 39-year-old did imply the addition to Red Bull's cars may have been benefiting them for years before now. "God knows how long they've had that, and they've been winning championships," he added. "Maybe that stops now, although I don't think that's the one thing that's going to stop them." Of course, Red Bull's drivers have denied that the device offers them any kind of performance advantage. Both drivers admitted that they knew that the device was fitted to their cars though. Verstappen actually said that when he read the story, before Red Bull were unveiled as the team using the device, he actually assumed it was one of his rivals, not his own team. Of course, neither driver would admit their team had been using it, as doing so would open them up to repercussions from the FIA. For now, it looks unlikely that this will go any further. Red Bull have agreed to change their car so that there isn't even a possibility of them changing their bib height in Parc Ferme going forward. Unless a team, likely McLaren, can actually prove that Red Bull were using the device, then it's impossible for the FIA to punish them without concrete evidence of a Parc Ferme breach. Though if McLaren can prove it, then the retrospective action would likely include a disqualification for whichever car had used it from each race it was used. What do you think of this? Do you think Red Bull have been using this device as it is available to them? Or do you trust that they haven't been using it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and if you want to support the channel, make sure to check out our merch store at f1reverse.com. Until next time, drive safe and bye for now.